All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Jared Weathers. This is a new podcast we're doing. So even though we're recording this with videos, this one will be exclusive to the Weathers Media Podcast Network on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and now iHeartRadio. That's right. We're officially on iHeartRadio. Which is very fun for all of us. But I have to have it exclusive to the network, and so I made this one exclusive. So make sure you guys listen to this, and if you guys want the videos, we might do something else. But for right now, it's just us, just on audio. So me and J Phil here. Go ahead whenever you're ready, J Phil.
That's right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reviewing All Comers show here, presented by Weathers Media here. Glad to have you. You recently put up a poll, didn't you? And this is how we chose this show, correct? The first show to review, the inaugural Reviewing All Comers episode here, or segment, whatever you would like to call it. I'm excited for this. I've always been down for a pay-per-view review style show. Honored to be your co-host, your guest, whatever you want to call me. I would say we're co-hosts now, right? Actually,
you're the host. I'm the co-host again.
So. Oh,
that's
my
right.
Goodness. What an honor. Wow, I appreciate that a lot. But today, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we will be reviewing Total Nonstop Action, TNA, Against All Odds, 2007, as chosen by you all through our poll we put up.
That's right.
So let's get into this thing. So what I'll be doing, this is our first episode. Mm-hmm. I will be your results man, and then we will, after I give the results of each match, Jared and I will discuss what we liked about the match, maybe what we didn't like, ratings, have a little back and forth, a little commentary on
it. Yeah.
But our first match we see on the card here, as I look down here at my notes, we saw the team of Serotonin. And if you don't know who Serotonin was, that was the team of Kazarian and Havoc, with Maverick Matt go over or defeat the team of Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt, and that was via pinfall. And honestly, they went about just a little over 5 minutes to start the show, a little tag match. I thought there was good talent involved in this match. Interesting way to kick off the show. I always like seeing Kazarian, because Kazarian's one of those guys I really respect, but I thought this was a decent little match. I mean, nothing spectacular, but Jared, I'll let you give some thoughts on it first, and maybe give your rating first, I guess, before I give my ratings, and we go any further.
Well, I got to be honest, man. I didn't even know this was a match on this card.
Really? Oh, okay. So at the whole show, that was the kickoff match.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. But I did not watch that, I guess.
if you didn't watch it, I mean, that was officially the first match on the whole Against All Odds 07 card, doing research on the whole show. But no worries. It's, like I said, it's a little tag match. Not bad. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a, all right, so are we going on the 10 rating scale, Jared? Do you think that's good? 1 out of 10? Or, I mean, not 1 out of 10, but 1 being awful, 0 being the absolute worst, don't ever wrestle again. Yeah. And 10 being phenomenal, 11 being HBK Undertaker level.
Well, I'm going to stop you there. 1 is always the worst. 10's always the best.
Okay.
I dislike breaking the scale. If you want me to, I can pull up Meltzer's rating so we can you can contrast his versus ours. Also,
if you want to do that, you can. But I'm gonna give this match I'm gonna give it an average score. Let's say 5 out of 10. I mean, nothing, like I said, nothing really spectacular. These guys just went out and performed, and the decent little tag match is what I'd say it. Yeah. So, with that question though, before we proceed, which match did you start with? Was it the Little Italy Street Fight? Was it the next match? Was it LAX and 3D? Okay, because that's my second match.
Yeah. I don't usually watch pre-shows on that kind of stuff, so I
gotcha. Yeah.
I just went right into it, and that's the first match I watched. So.
Okay. Yeah. Understandable on that. I think this was around the time companies. It was still kind of a fresh concept in a way.
Right.
For I think TNA and WB might have done some pre-show stuff around this time, but they put on one match, and it was only, like I said, just a little over 5 minutes. I give the times with these matches too, so just a little action, keep the fans on edge, or stop them, I guess, from going to the concessions or bathroom before the LAX and Team 3D hit the stage here in just a minute. But not bad. I'd say average. I don't know if Meltzer rated it or if you're going to pull up the Meltzer reviews, but I give it an average score. I'm going to start it out with 5.
I'm trying to pull this up. It's not really pulling up though. Let's see here. Maybe this is it. Oh no, that's not what I wanted.
It's all right if you can't find it.
It's kind of weird the way they have these coming up.
Yeah, sometimes you do your research, and when you watch these shows, or the fans want us to watch these shows, you're all excited, but you wonder, in the back of your head, at least I did. I was thinking, wonder how many people have actually reviewed Against All Odds 07 or the certain pay-per-view you're covering.
Right.
Which I know, like, once you get in the more prominent pay-per-views, like your WrestleManias, Royal Rumbles, your Double or Nothings, even TNA Bound for Glory, your big shows for these companies, then, that's when you see more reviews on it, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a bad little match, pre-show to kick it off, tag match.
It does not have his ratings for that on this website I found.
Okay, no worries. You and I will just rock it then. How's that?
Yeah.
All righty. So with that, unless you had anything else to add about the opening tag match pre-show.
Just that I didn't see it. That's all.
No worries. It would be the first official Against All Odds match. I should have clarified earlier when I brought up the pre-show match. In the first match, big tag match, in a Little Italy street fight, they had like, let me get a little background. They had like a little Italian bistro type setting in the ring. Tried to, TNA around this time, they put some gimmicks on their matches, as we'll see later down the card too. There was other gimmicky matches. I can't remember. I'm going to say, Jared, you may know this. In 07, Russo still had the book, didn't he? Russo was still booking.
Yes. Yeah, he did.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Mr. As I like to call Russo before we get into this match, Mr. Judy Bagwell.
Yeah.
On a pole right there. But
yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, but in this match, we saw the team of LAX, the OG LAX, like you and I talked about the other day, Homicide and Hernandez, defeat Team 3D, which was Brother Ray and Brother Devon. And it ended with Hernandez hitting a border toss with a pin. And I always thought the border toss, the Razor's Edge, big crucifix bomb was always one of the more underrated moves in wrestling. I know if there's any fans of the NWO out there, Scott Hall had hit it. But going back to this match, LAX, this was a big step for them because a lot of people consider Team 3D to be other than the Road Warriors, maybe the greatest tag team ever. I mean, you look at their accomplishments, right? LAX scoring a win here, like I said, I like the original LAX when it was just Homicide Hernandez before Conan, before revamping it. I think they added Sarita later.
Maybe.
Yeah, they added some members of the LAX, but when it was just Homicide and Hernandez, man, you had the Mexican Superman Hernandez, Supermex as they called him. You had Homicide. Oh man, he had the cool finisher. God, help me remember this. You might know this. It was like a vertebraker, wasn't it? But he called it something different.
Yeah, I can't remember what I know they said it, but I can't remember what they called it.
Right, but he had a sick finisher, dude. But yeah,
that was Homicide, right?
Huh?
That was Homicide, right?
Homicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, Homicide had that move. But LAX, big win here over Team 3D. And I'm going to say this was an enjoyable match simply because, for me, real fast, I enjoy both teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how can you not enjoy Team 3D, the Dudleys, whatever you want to call them, and LAX, a great team on the rise at this point.
Right.
So I'm actually going to give this a solid. I'm going to call it a good match. Mm-hmm. It went almost 10 minutes, close to 10 minutes. Officially, I think they said the time was, in my notes here, I have 9:26. But I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10, which to me is good. Mm-hmm. More so, I would say 8 for me would be great. 9 would be fantastic or amazing. And then 10 would be, levels a key piece of wrestling history. If I give something a 10, it's one of the wrestling's greatest matches of all time. But for our purposes, I'm going to give this match a 7. What thoughts do you have on this match, Jared?
I did write some stuff down while I was watching it. There was a lot. I don't like hokey gimmick matches. Like Hell in a Cell's cool. Steel cage matches are always fun. This kind of stuff, the pole matches and all that. I don't really get into that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was a little
lackluster.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did write here that I did give it an 8.
Okay.
Oh, I did want to say Devon got pinned by both.
I'm pretty sure Devon ate the pin. Yeah.
He got pinned by both LAX members to win.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I should have said that. Yeah.
It's not your fault. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that he got pinned by both of them. That's why he didn't get up.
Correct.
Because he did actually kick out of the Crucifix Powerbomb. So.
Oh, okay. I know it was the border toss was right near the end of that match, and it was the major move that was hit that led to the pinfall before both men pinned him.
Yeah. I did write this match was a good start, letting the blood rush through everybody. It's really adrenaline kind of show. So to get that adrenaline up, quick is always good for the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I gave it an 8. So I do want to be clear earlier. So Meltzer did review the rest of this. He just didn't review the pre-show match.
Okay.
Okay. So
did he give a rating for LAX and Team 3D?
Yeah. So he gave a rating
which he's on a 5-star scale. So.
Right. So he gave it 4 stars. Looks like 4
which
stars.
Would be on par with yours because you gave double it. Yours is an 8. Mine would be a 3.5.
Wait. I don't know. It's kind of difficult for me to read this one. It has a 4/4. Is that like a? Oh no. That's a 3 1/4 star. That's what it is. 3 1/4 star.
Okay. Well, if you have issues, don't worry about it. But yeah, if you want to include that, you sure can.
Yeah. So he gave it a 3 1/4 star, which is pretty close to double to what I gave it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But before we move on, did you do the interview segments or anything? Also,
Actually, no, I did not do the interview segments. You can, if you want to cover the interview segments, that's all you, brother.
All right. So
and then I'll give my thoughts based on what you say about the interview segments because I felt like that may be good. Me talking about matches, match results, and you talking about anything they're promoting at the time, like any incoming talent, backstage interviews, segments. If you wanted to talk about the build-up, for example, anything leading up to this show,
right,
be my guest. I mainly want to talk about what happened on the show, the results, who had their hand raised in the end. But go ahead, brother. If you want to talk about interview segments, like the interview after this,
So the interview segment we get interview segments like late throughout this show. It's really kind of odd. Impact, which is kind of weird. But we get an interview segment with Jeremy Borash, who is the current interviewer on TV at this time. And Austin Starr, also known obviously as Austin Aries to everybody today. This is kind of one of his first, I think it's one of his first shows in TNA. And so, obviously Austin Starr is talking about how good he is and how good he's gonna, doing this next match. And then Bob Backlund shows up. I didn't even know Bob Backlund was in TNA. I don't get it. So he shows up and he starts, I don't know, he like walks around him for some reason, and then he calls Austin Starr a young man, which I know he is, but like the way that he said it was very condescending.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it like 2 stars. I don't understand why Bob Backlund's here. I don't get it.
So you'll be rating our interview segments, and honestly, I trust your opinion usually on interviews, and like I said, I didn't really think. I mean, I can start doing that and rating the interview segments too if you want during all my notes, other than just the match results. But yeah, it is odd to see Bob Backlund because for wrestling, I don't really consider myself a deep wrestling historian.
Sure.
For the fans out there, I'm 25. I was born mid-90s. So technically I qualify as a 90s kid. I do remember good pieces of the 90s. So I caught the tail end of the Monday Night Wars and everything. But I am old enough to know who Bob Backlund is. And, Vince was really high on him, like before Brock Lesnar, in terms of pure technical. I wouldn't really call Brock a technical guy,
right?
But I mean, like collegiate athlete, like really like pure wrestling style. Like you're not going to out wrestle him.
Right.
No submissions. Brock has the Kimura. Bob had the chicken wing crossface.
Mm-hmm.
It was so weird seeing Bob on TV. I'm like, it's weird seeing Backlund on TNA, man.
I'm like, why is he here? But this is not the first time we see Backlund tonight. This is the first time, but it's not the last.
Correct. Yeah. So, all right, and I'll get to that. So match 3. Yeah. So that interview segment was right before match 3.
Yeah.
Okay, which we saw in this match, Senshi, also known to wrestling fans, which TNA's gave him different names at different times.
Yeah.
Low-key. I like to call him Low-key.
I call him
asshole. Defeated Austin Starr, better known to fans as Austin Aries.
Yeah.
Or if you're a big wrestling video game player like I am, you might also call him Jacob Cass every now and then, the WWE 12 storyline. He did the voiceover. Now, Senshi defeated Austin Aries via a chicken wing submission.
Mm-hmm.
And, after the match, they had a good little match, about close to 9 minutes, a little over 8, actually, what I have here for my time. But after the match, Austin Starr gets on the mic complaining about the match and everything that went down, and was probably a little frustrated about the backstage interview and everything. Backlund calling him a young man, interrupted him, all that. Yeah. And here he comes again. Out comes Bob Backlund in all his glory. And he gets Austin Starr a chicken wing, don't he, Jared?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. That's really weird.
It's segments like this. All right, for the match, Senshi and Austin Starr. I mean, I don't know. I give it about. I'm going to give it a little under average because I don't know. These are two guys. I used to be bigger on Austin Starr, Austin Aries, than I am nowadays. Like back during when they were first trying to put him together and package him. I thought he had some promise, but these two they did all right. I mean, slightly below average for me, but not much. So it's right around the average mark. But I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 for me. I mean, nothing really to write home here. Bob Backlund kind of takes away from it too. Like, come on, if you're wanting, I get it. Like, there comes a certain point where looking at TNA booking, they did do a good job building stars such as AJ Styles and certain people. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of TNA booking, you got to let guys like Low-Key and Austin Starr do their thing a little more without having to be connected to Bob Backlund. Is my look on
that. I agree. However, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10, a little bit over average. Mostly because of Bob Backlund stuff, but also because I have here in my notes, Star rolled up Senshi, but it was reversed and Senshi won, even though both their shoulders were on the mat.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't like that because I mean, you can see it. I mean, both their shoulders are down. I know Senshi gets it up right before, but it's like, come on. And then the whole Bob Backlund stuff, which again, we will see him later. I don't know why he's here. I don't understand why he's here. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Is it just because it's Bob Backlund, or is there a reason why he's here? I don't.
Maybe see, like TNA to me. I'll say this, and then we can move on. Unless you had any other thoughts. Sometimes TNA, when you're running a promotion or anything to do with wrestling, to me, ECW is a great example of this. Mm-hmm. ECW knew who their key demographic was, their target market. And Paul Heyman's talked about this. He said, what is the WWF doing? What is NWA doing? So you had this conundrum where WWE and F is known for their target market of under 18. So like adolescents.
Oh, right. Yeah. 15, 16-year-olds.
Yes. Like pre-18, WWF always had kind of the cartoony gimmicks and all that. Yeah. And whereas the old school NWA, WCW, early WCW before Nitro and Bischoff, and they changed all that, but before the NWO basically.
Yeah.
They targeted the traditional wrestling fans who liked Flair, Rhodes. I would say over 35. Yeah. The older men and women who would bring their kids, and NWA is kind of a tradition, make it a family thing. Right. But ECW, what I'm saying, knew their target audience. Paul Heyman went against the grain, and the reason ECW is so big, he targeted 18 to 34-year-olds. I mean, the original ECW was wild. But going back to my point, sorry, that was a kind of a weird segue. TNA apparently got their target market, their demographic mixed up. Like, who is this for? Like, I mean, you got to imagine, like, who's going to tune in to Against All Odds and be like, oh, my God, I'm so happy that Bob Backlund's here. Like, right. Like who? Like, I don't even personally know any big Bob Backlund fans myself or anything. Like, he's just one of those guys.
Yeah, I know a lot of people respect him. Obviously, one of the early pioneers of the WWF.
Yes. Yes.
I think he had like a 2-year long title world championship reign.
Yeah, and he even beat Bret Hart during Bret Hart's New Generation run.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Little known fact.
But yeah, like, I don't know. I don't really get it. I do want to say, though, Meltzer rated this match 2 3/4 stars.
Okay.
So I'll round your rating there.
Yeah. Right. All right.
Um,
Is that all you had to say about that match?
yeah, and then the next interview segment, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Oh, go ahead with your interview segment. Anytime there's an interview segment, say after this match there was another interview, or
Yeah.
however you want to do it. Say we got an interview segment after this match again. So.
Yeah. So Jeremy Borash is back interviewing Christian Cage, is known as Christian in the WWF, or
Mm-hmm.
WWE or whatever. So him and Tomko are there talking about the main event at the end of the night there, and then Scott Steiner comes in out of nowhere. Which again, why is Scott Steiner here?
Uh-huh.
Scott Steiner then walks in and says that he cannot work with Tomko, and Tomko says he can't work with Scott. I don't know. They're having some kind of beef. It's really not completely flushed out.
Yeah.
I obviously think Christian Cage is always good in everything he does. Being like trying to be the middleman and also trying to be like the center of the group. And trying to, make sure that these two don't get into a fist fight. I thought it was all right. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I don't think it was the greatest one, but I'm giving it a 6 because of Christian Cage. Pretty much, that's the other reason.
All right, yeah, it sounds good to me. I know that some people aren't high on Steiner, especially after the infamous math promo in TNA and everything, and Steiner had an interesting run. He was a part of the Main Event Mafia, which I'm not gonna lie. Out of all factions, which Sting was in that. So for the fans out there, if they didn't know, Sting is my favorite wrestler of all time, and we'll get to that here in a minute because he has matched semi-main event on this card right before the main event. We'll get to that in a little while, but I don't mind Steiner. I know some people think he's a bit of a windbag and don't know what he's doing. But I'll tell you this much. Scott Steiner is not as bad as Sid Vicious.
No.
So I'm just going to – because Sid Vicious, literally JR was interviewing him one time, and Sid went, all right, crap, cut it. Let's start over. And JR's like, nope, we're live, buddy. And the other time, one of my favorites, just to make fun of Sid Vicious – was on a Nitro, and they were still trying to push him as a world champion or a world title contender around this time too. He was talking, I think it was Nash and Hall in the ring. He's like, and these people know that I have half the brain that you do.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh wow. Okay, so after that interview segment, oh god, here we go. I feel the rage building up in Jared over there because I know. It's around the time you had to cut it off, this next match, right? Ridiculous. I agree. We'll get to that in a second. In all of which the match only went for super short, but they brought Christy Hemme out next. They had a tuxedo match. It was her, and did they even really give this guy a name that she was fighting? I don't really think they did they?
I believe his official name is Big Fat Oily Guy.
Yes. Big fat oily guy. So I have here Christy Hemme goes over a big fat oily guy in a tuxedo match, which if you don't know in that match, you have to take your opponent's tuxedo off or what they're wearing off, get them down to their skivvies to win that match. What needs to be said here? How much time do we need to waste here? Like 1 out of 10. God awful. Like, I'm sure if Jared could go negative or go backwards on the scale, he would. But,
I actually have some stuff to say about it, to be quite honest.
Go right ahead, because, honestly, I don't want to waste much breath on this. Christy Hemme's all right. I prefer her in the backstage segment versus wrestling. There were some girls – I mean, come on. Let's all be honest here. In terms of, like, redheaded ladies wrestling, nobody ever – I don't think is going to top Lita / Becky Lynch. And I like both. So, I mean, because Lita was trained in Mexico.
Yeah.
And then Becky trained with Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, nobody's, Christy was all right. great eye candy. But come on, did this really have to be on the show? Jared, your thoughts?
Okay. First I have to know. Hold on.
This might have been just for Vince Russo pleasure.
Oh, okay. It looks like. So I didn't know who Hemi was trained by. She was trained by Arn Anderson.
Okay, all right, that's
Finley
interesting.
and Dean Malenko.
Wow, I've met Dean Malenko. Cool dude.
Yeah,
that's an interesting story too. But I'll get to that maybe some other time. We talk a WWE event.
Yeah,
I'll talk about Dean Malenko later.
So I was gonna read this. So I wrote, Christy Hemme is really trying to wrestle while this fat guy is literally doing nothing. Throws Hemme down and goes for a splash, but she dodges it. He then goes for a bonsai drop, and Hemme wins. I have to be honest, this era. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I messed my own words up. I have to be honest. This era of not just TNA but wrestling as a whole was not very women friendly. Their matches were this or bra and panty matches from WWE, or just cut entirely from shows. I'm very glad that today we have actual women's matches. This is gross, and Cornette should feel bad because Cornette was in the backstage segment there. 1 out of 10 match sucked, and it wasn't Hemme. It was the match type and her opponent. I hated it. Cornette and Russo should never be working wrestling again if this is what they're going to do. I hate it, and I don't ever want them to work in wrestling again. I got so pissed off. I just want everyone to know this is not like a joke or anything. I had to pause it, and I didn't watch it for 2 days because of how pissed I was after this. I just give her a match. Just give her a match against another woman. What the hell? What the fuck?
Well, TNA, like around this time, I think part of the issue here, and this is not me defending Cornette and Russo. I agree with your sentiments. You know, even though Russo's helped out, I am a Jeff Jarrett guy, for the record. Even though Russo's helped him out before, and him and Jarrett have been buddies, I cannot stand Russo's booking decisions. And Cornette is to me. While I have a lot of respect for Jim Cornette, I'll say that real fast before we get to TNA's issue and the women's division around this time.
Yeah.
I have some respect for him for what he's done in the wrestling business. He's one of the greatest managers of all time.
I agree with that.
But in terms of his commentary and wrestling ideas, sometimes I look at it this way, you know, every single day, the world of professional wrestling is full steam ahead. Mm-hmm. It's going to keep progressing, and it's going to keep getting better and better. Mm-hmm. Or the next step, you know, athletes will keep getting better. We've come a heck of a long way, as you mentioned, from that era of women's wrestling to where we are now.
Yeah.
But to me, Cornette's stuck back in the mud in the past. Like, he cannot get his head out of the out of his old mentality, you know, not to understand, like, hey, you know, fans want something new school. You don't always have to do something old school.
Right.
But with that being said, I feel like the issue, and this is all I'll say about this match, and then we can go on unless you had any other commentary. TNA didn't really know who to build a women's division around. And I think part of that falls back on talent relations. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm delving into too deep problems here, more so company problems than I am, you know, just, hey, a casual viewer tuning in and enjoy the show. Yeah. But whoever your talent relations person is for TNA, you've got to do a better job seeking out the next great women's wrestler, you know, and then branding her, giving her actual wrestling matches with which, like you said, around that time, there wasn't a whole lot of that with the women. They were out there to be eye candy. They were out there to fill a little time. Mm-hmm. If somebody needed a break or something, they would sometimes move the women's segments and put them like in a certain slot before one guy was ready. Or if there was something last second preparations for a match or something, they would do that. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like they didn't know who to start a women's division around. So they did this little thing with Christy Hemme. And that was it. Like, I mean, later we would see a few more knockouts on the card. Mm. But, I mean, it was in a mixed tag match later.
Yeah. Yeah, 0 out of 10 or 1 out of 10. I don't care.
Yeah,
Whatever. Meltzer rated at -3, which I agree with 100%.
yeah.
Um,
All righty.
was,
Now we're about halfway through the card, and I see we're 35 minutes in. Did you before we finished the last half of the card pretty much?
Yeah.
Did you have a time limit on this?
No, I don't. No, not at all.
Okay. All righty. So neither do I really. I'm good to talk about whatever you want to on here as well. Now the fifth match, well, it would be the fourth match after the pre-show. So the next match was the base brawl match, and I'm a baseball fan, so it kind of excites me, and I like stuff. I don't know, like you see, like there's that infamous clip of it might have been a football field instead of a baseball field, but I love the sporting arenas feel to wrestling. Stuff that takes place on a football field or a baseball field. I actually kind of like mixing wrestling and sports simply because I'm a sports guy myself. Some people aren't sports people that want to keep it separate. But actually, this base brawl match, just barely over 5 minutes, about a 5-minute match, we saw Lance Hoyt with David Eckstein. Did I pronounce that right? Eckstein or Eckstein?
Eckstein, I believe.
Eckstein, I believe as well. Go over Dale Torberg. And Dale Torborg, from my knowledge, he was the demon back in WCW, wasn't he? He was the Kiss character. Swear I've heard that name before.
Yes. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they actually mentioned it on the show that he used to be the Kiss demon in WCW.
Right. So so we saw Lance Hoyt, now Lance Archer. That's Lance Hoyt's his real name. Go over Dale Torberg. What had happened was, and Torberg was managed by, correct me if I'm wrong on this, he's playing for the White Sox at the time, right? AJ Brzezinski, catcher?
I believe so.
I'm wanting to say it was the White Sox, AJ Brzezinski. He was a baseball catcher. He managed Dale Torberg in this match, or was with Dale Torberg.
Yes, looks like he was on the White Sox at the time, yeah.
That's what, thank God my baseball knowledge did not fail me there. But what had happened was David Eckstein got involved. He ended up hitting a chair over Torberg's head, and Lance Hoyt got the pin. Right? That's what you have as well? That was the managers both got involved, and Hoyt got the pin.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a gimmicky match again.
It is.
To me, I like the base brawl style stuff. This could have been done with different talent. To me, if you're going to put on a base brawl match, I like Lance Hoyt. I'm an Archer guy in AEW, behind Mox and Darby. But, early Lance Hoyt, he wasn't quite ready yet. This is before he had a brief stint with WWE too.
Yeah, it was.
So, I'm going to give this match, I'm going to put it around the average mark again, but to me, where I'm a base brawl fan and, you bring in AJ Brzezinski, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, which would equate to, 3 out of 5 for those who go by a different scale. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 here. I know it was only a 5-minute match, but I'm a Hoyt guy. They didn't do a whole lot here. The talent could have been different, but I'm going to give it slightly above average.
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
I was not into this match. I viewed this match as the piss break match.
Okay.
I didn't like it. I didn't know Brzezinski or Eckstein. I guess they're both baseball players. Didn't know either of them.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Eckstein, and I might do some research and try to remember. That name's just not hitting my head, and I know a lot about baseball.
I just looked him up. Apparently, he was a shortstop for the Padres.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been forever. I didn't really pay attention to the Padres. That's why I don't know.
Yeah. Dale Torberg, he did all right. Lance Hoyt did all right. I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I didn't care about it. All right. 4 out of 10.
Okay.
We do have, though, if you don't mind, a backstage segment again.
Okay.
So Alex Shelley is on this show. Um, um, a little bit. It's before. It's obviously before the Motor City Machine Guns.
Mm-hmm.
But we keep getting these little spurts of this of young Eric Young in TNA with blonde hair, nonetheless,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get with Tracy Brooks. I've never heard of Tracy Brooks before, so this is the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's trying to get him to sign a contract to be a part of Bobby Roode Inc. Which is very interesting. She does, and then leaves, gives the contract to Bobby Roode, and it's kind of weird. I don't really know why this is a thing, but yeah. So then Eric Young gets signed to Bobby Roode Incorporated.
Yeah,
I guess
they had a past in Team Canada. A little background info.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Scott the Wars crew, both Eric Young and young Bobby Roode were on Team Canada previously, so this kind of makes sense. Hearing that, Eric Young for the longest time, Eric Young was kind of like how WWE is using Otis nowadays. He was kind of the comedic relief.
Yeah.
He was kind of their character that they didn't really have definite plans for until everything started tumbling downhill and they started running through roster members and they didn't really have a plan. And I'll be honest, I respect Eric Young. I know nowadays he is killing it. Like, he is a great heel. He's really flipped from that flippant pushover character, kind of gimmicky, jokey character. Showtime Eric Young.
Showtime. Yeah, that's right. Showtime Eric Young. Yeah, that's what they call him.
Showtime. Yeah. So Showtime is now dead, and now we have this really good heel. It's been darkened over the years. I liked him in Sanity too. Which WWE dropped the ball on Sanity. I won't go into that, but yeah, it's an interesting little segment. Bobby Roode Inc. Yeah, sounds about right.
It's like 3 or 4 segments throughout the show there.
Yeah, that's not a bad little segment. The next match on the card, we have now. This is a good. I actually enjoyed this match simply because I like both guys too. We have a Motor City chain match. Mm-hmm. We have because AJ's not from Motor City, but Rhino is from Detroit.
Oh yeah,
Rhino, and you're from so you. I figure you might like this match. It's not going to be my guess before I get into it. In right around 15 minutes, we see AJ Styles square off with Rhino, and in this match, AJ Styles would be the winner. But to explain the rules to the people, what I have here in my notes, they put a chain in one corner, and then they put what was it, like a pole and another? What was in the other corner?
It's a nightstick.
Nightstick. They put a chain in one corner and a nightstick in the other corner.
Yeah.
And basically, in one of them there was a key, right?
Yeah, so one of them had a key to unlock the chain.
Yes.
And in Rhino's words, the other one is a nightstick, which they use on the streets of Detroit with the cops, beat people.
Yeah. Because Detroit's kind of a brutal, unforgiving place. Detroit
used to be. It used to be, yes. It was very. At one point, it was the murder capital of the world. It was not a nice place. It has since, been a little better.
But there's still slums.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, certain areas.
Yeah.
But this ended with AJ went over because Rhino tried to gore. Rhino unlocked the chain, right? Was it Rhino, or was it AJ who unlocked the chain?
No, it was AJ because then he wrapped it around the ropes and kept him close.
Okay, well AJ unlocked the chain to get him free. But basically, this all broke down when Rhino attempted to gore AJ Styles through a table. He missed. AJ got the win. Ended up getting the win. Solid match. This is one of the better gimmick matches on the card. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it a good. Normally, AJ Styles match and Rhino, the last ever ECW World Champion, the original ECW World Champion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a good. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It's one of the better matches on the card, but I'm saving my better ratings for towards the end.
Yeah.
But I might be a little biased too. We'll talk about that later. I'm pretty sure you know which match I'll give a better than good rating for.
Yeah. Yeah, I found this match very enjoyable. Seeing a young AJ Styles, but at this point he was wrestling for 8 years, but he looked real young in the face at the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I really liked it. I didn't really have any issues with it. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. To be quite honest, I loved it.
Wow. Very good. Amazing rating in a way, or great. You would call it a great match.
A great match.
You got two formidable talents. Could win either way. Both men are tough. AJ and Rhino. Rhino at this time still. I'm glad TNA picked up the ball on Rhino because I thought his WWE run was a little short because WWE couldn't get out of the stigma that, okay, he's an ECW guy. We have to plug him in the hardcore division. Right. Or we can't look at him higher than mid-card. Right. Whereas fans between, there were still a lot of avid original ECW fans. Mm-hmm. Why do you think Raven was prominent in TNA? Rhino. Right. Which I know WB had RVD.
Yes.
I think WB, this is just speculation, but they kind of were like, okay, RVD's our guy. He is ECW to us. We're going to push him. He'll go over Cena. RVD's run. Mm-hmm. But there were still other good ECW talents, and I'm glad that TNA picked up the ball on Rhino and did some stuff with him and featured him in matches like this, I'll say.
I think WWE kept Sabu as well for a little bit on the ECW roster.
Yeah, and Sandman. A few guys,
Sandman. Tommy Dreamer, I think, was still there at that point.
Correct. But yeah, I rank it a good match, 3.5 out of 5 or 7 out of 10 on our scale.
Yeah.
You rank it great.
I loved it. I like Rhino though. I'm a huge mark for Rhino and AJ Styles. Which this is really nice to see. I didn't know who AJ Styles was when he debuted in WWE. I was only like a year and like a couple months into being a wrestling fan at that point. I knew who Rhino was because he was already on TV for a while there. But going back and watching all this AJ Styles stuff and kind of getting to know that, before WWE part of him, it's really nice. It's really nice for me. So I like AJ. I'm a fan of AJ Styles. So this is really nice. 9 out of 10, 100%.
Quick side story. I like to not really get personal, but talk about personal experience so the fans aren't just like, well, who's this J Phil schmuck acting like he knows it all about wrestling?
Right.
I don't really know it all, but I have been to some TNA live events. And a quick AJ Styles story. They came to Pikeville, Kentucky, which is a little over an hour from me. Because where I live in Southwest Virginia, I'm not going to say where I live, or anything like that. But where I live it's around an hour to Pikeville. So they come to Pikeville. So I get to go backstage because TNA had like meet and greet passes and all this.
Oh, right, yeah.
Well, I'm just chilling backstage, and he wasn't a part of the meet and greet panel, but he was there that night. I forget. I know he made an appearance, but I was backstage, and there's this dude in a hood behind me. And in my mind, as a little, this would have happened around 2010, 2011. So I would have been about 15 years old,
Yeah.
In high school. So here I am thinking in my mind, holy crap, to me, this is the franchise of TNA still at this time. I'm like, that's AJ. So sure enough, he's behind me. So I turn around and I'm like, it was a brief little interaction. We didn't talk for long, but I said, AJ Styles, there's only one phenomenal one, something along those lines. And he was like, "Thanks, kid." He's like, "You know it." And I said, "Go get him, whatever you're doing tonight. It's an honor to meet you, and I'm a big fan." He said, "Thanks, man. I appreciate you." Kind of in his like, he's from Georgia, so
Yeah.
kind of in Southern voice, he's like, "Thanks, man. I appreciate you." Uh, he's like, "Glad to know I have fans like you," and that just, it always stuck with me. Even all the way in 2016 when he debuted with the WWE, I was like, "Man, AJ Styles is just." I mean, you heard what Undertaker said about the guy.
Yeah.
Here recently. Undertaker, they had him on that WWE Network special where he's just sitting there watching an AJ Styles match, and he goes, this is huge praise from the Undertaker. He goes, "That AJ Styles, man, he's awesome. Wish I could have gave him some fought him some in my prime. He reminds me a lot of Shawn." He literally said he reminds me a lot of Shawn Michaels, the showstopper, Mr. WrestleMania.
I mean, I agree 100% with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
See it.
But I'm a AJ Styles mark myself.
Yeah.
Very good match. I could have ranked it a little higher, but I'm saving my higher ratings for semi-main and main event here coming up. But did you have anything else to add before we get to match officially 7, but not counting pre-show 6?
Right. Yeah. So, going back to the little Bobby Roode, Eric Young story here. So Eric Young does have the contract. He, I like how they phrase this. So this is from 411 Mania. It says Tracy suckers him into closing his eyes while she leaves the hotel, which is amazing that he even did that.
Yeah.
And so Bobby Roode, obviously he signs a contract, becomes part of Bobby Roode Inc. And Bob Backlund shows up again, and yells at everybody that they're destroying the world and like destroying families or what, something like that. And so everyone leaves, and he's like sitting there next to a chair, and he's like, "Are you listening to me?" And there's nobody there.
Yep. Deranged Bob Backlund.
I don't. Why is Bob Backlund in TNA in 2007?
Exactly. And it's just a case of you brought him in. Now you got to pay for a segment or two, or other than him being out there actually involved with the talent, you got to earn what you pay. I guess in their minds, they have to earn what they, make back what they paid for him. Or in their case, whenever you bring in a talent, you should be making revenue.
Right.
So I digress. Next match. Are you good?
Yeah, we're good. Let's move on.
All righty. So the next match after this is one that's fascinating. Mm-hmm. Another ECW talent here is involved in this one. Mm-hmm. And the following match is the X Division title match, where we see champion Chris Sabin defeat Jerry Lynn. Now, in this match, they kind of played on Jerry Lynn, the aging veteran, mm-hmm. but kind of what does he have left in the tank is what I got out of this.
Yeah.
Because in the match, Sabin and him, they, solid X Division match. Mm-hmm. Basically, what was it? Sabin hit the, you call it the cradle shock, or is it a little spiral bomb, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then it hurt Jerry Lynn's back a lot. So, and that would come into play later, because Jerry Lynn would go for his cradle pile driver, right? He'd get him up for a pile driver, and his back would give out, trying to lift him up for a pile driver.
Yeah.
And what had happened after that? Sabin would take advantage on Jerry Lynn, back and forth a little bit still, but Sabin would use the ropes for leverage and secure his X Division championship in a little over about 13 and a half minutes.
Yeah, about 13 and a half minutes, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to rate this match I'm going to rank it below the Motor City chain match. I'm going to give it slightly above average for an X Division title match. I'm going to give it a 6 of 10. I like Jerry Lynn. Him and when I think Jerry Lynn, I think of the classics. I know TNA to me, has always tried to be close to ECW in a way by bringing in original ECW talents. So I'm glad they used Jerry Lynn here and put him against Chris Sabin. But I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, which slightly above average, not quite good. I mean, it's borderline for me, 6 or 7, but I'm going to give it slightly above average.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I'm not a huge Jerry Lynn fan, but I do like his work. I think he's very good. I'm obviously a huge Chris Sabin fan.
Yeah.
I'm really big. I'm really big fan of all the Michigan wrestlers.
Okay.
Obviously, being from Michigan, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I'm gonna give it actually a 10 out of 10.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Okay.
All right. Yeah,
it's not that I like it more than the AJ Styles Rhino match.
Yeah.
It's just that this match is a singles match, and there was no gimmicks in it. It was just a regular wrestling match.
So the gimmicks were kind of, after you saw one gimmick match after another, and then there was how many? I'm going to count them real fast. There was probably about, at least out of 10 matches, counting the pre-show, 5 or 6 gimmick matches. Literally, like half the card was a gimmick match. But
five,
X Division. I always love that old X Division saying that the X Division has no weight limits, has no limits at all. Yeah. And one of my favorite matches ever, even though we didn't see it on display here, I'm always down for an Ultimate X match.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, it's one of those ways you can protect your talent. It's similar to a ladder match.
Yeah.
But, man, like, some of the stuff the X Division talent did, that was TNA's kind of calling card for years, having that X Division, which is, they're like, well, it's not necessarily a cruiserweight division because we have guys like Samoa Joe we can throw in here. Good stuff. So, I thought, overall it was, like I said, borderline 6, 7. I'm going to go 6. Simply because Chris Sabin is a phenomenal talent. He's a good X Division champion at this time. I felt like that though. Jerry Lynn, while Jerry Lynn's performance was good, I would have liked to saw just a little bit more resiliency out of him.
Yeah,
maybe. Which I don't know how much time they had. Maybe they came out in Gorilla and they're like, don't go past 15 or something. Maybe. But I would have liked to see them go even longer. I'm kind of like you. And that would have probably increased my match rating. But like I said, they played off the Jerry Lynn, the old line versus the new line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought solid match. I got nothing bad to say about it. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Just take the gimmick matches on the show. Yeah, it was just stupid. But yeah, 10 out of 10 for me.
All righty. Is there any interview after that or not? We go to the next match? Because there's 3 matches left.
Oh, so Christian Cage has another backstage interview here.
Right, okay.
I don't know if this is an official name, but the Christian Coalition, which is...
I believe, he referred to his cronies around that time. The Christian Coalition, I had to turn my lamp on there.
Yeah, they're still together, obviously, which is good. There's no dissension yet. Christian did call Angle Dr. Evil, which is kind of funny because he does kind of look like Dr. Evil.
Okay, that was a good one, Christian Cage. I'll give you that one.
Yeah. And then Jim Cornette came in and told him that if there's a DQ, the title will change hands, which I thought was kind of stupid.
That's one of Cornette's things, Okay, so I think it's a little hypocritical too. Cornette, they could have had another guy be that face executive or person to enforce those rules. It's a little hypocritical. I'll say this. To me, Jim Cornette should never be a face.
No.
Never.
Yeah.
Like he was always that rich, pretty boy with the tennis racket managing the Midnight Express way back when. Mm-hmm. And he's very loud, very opinionated. I mean, you watch his the Dairy Queen drive-through. who could love a man like that? Come on, he's a heel. He's not a face.
Motherfucker. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm not Bruce Pritchard, but if people actually want me to do voices, I will. But I usually don't.
He does have some good voices. He does do the Bruce Pritchard well, the Brother Love for those
motherfucker. Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Is that all that Christian said? Calling Dr. Evil, Christian Coalition, Cornette enforced the. Just a second.
And then Jim Cornette said that the title will change hands on DQ. And I want a double onion, double cheese hamburger, motherfucker. Anyway, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
So we only have 3 matches left.
Yeah.
All right, and really quickly, I'll go over because I'd like to spend just a small little time on this 8th match. Well, 7th on the card. But this next match.
That's the prison yard match, right?
No, it's the mixed tag match.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, go ahead.
So we had a quick mixed tag match. I won't spend too much time talking about this. Close to a 9-minute match where we saw James Storm and Jackie. Well, Jacqueline Moore over Maple Leaf Muscles, I call him, Petey Williams and Gail Kim. So they would defeat him. And at this time, James Storm, they were booking him as a heel. Because remember, we were still feeling the ripple effects, and I'll bring this up, and then we'll get to the big payoff at the end of this real fast, of Storm. This was before Beer Money. 2007, this was a little before Beer Money, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yes, yeah.
They hadn't teamed up Rude and Storm yet. So we were still feeling the effects of Storm turning heel on his old partner, Wildcat Chris Harris of AMW, America's Most Wanted. Yep. So basically what happened was Gail Kim actually had Jackie right where she wanted her. They wrestled all right. James Storm hit a last call to get some heel heat on Gail Kim, and then Jackie got the pin on Gail Kim. Yeah. Basically, what they do next to get more heel heat, they pick up Petey. They're going to hurt Petey Williams some more. All of a sudden, we have a superstar come out for the save, a return. As I just mentioned, alluded to, Wildcat Chris Harris makes his return to TNA. Before he was Braden Walker, he was Chris Harris. And he had flirted around with the main event scene some. And early TNA fans, I can tell you this much, they loved AMW. So bringing Chris Harris as a face to set up him and James Storm, I thought this was pretty good. I'm going to give this, actually, for a mixed tag match, I'm going to put it right about there. I liked it slightly better simply because you see a return here. And I would say that simply giving it an extra rating point to set up the Storm and Harris feud, I give it a good 7 out of 10. For a mixed tag match, Jackie, she's tough as nails. I like Gail Kim, Petey Williams, James Storm. Plus the save here, you get a return. I'm going to give it a quick good. Like it could be borderline 6 or 7 for me again, but I'm going to actually give this good for what they pulled off here.
I'm going to go with 7 as well.
Okay.
I like this match. I obviously, huge Jacqueline fan. Miss Tennessee. And of course the Tennessee Cowboy, James Storm. Even though I do like him better in Beer Money. I'm not going to say much about it. It was a good match. I like that Jackie DDT the ref, which was fun. I don't know Chris Harris much. I don't,
later he was Braden Walker in ECW.
Yeah, his career died.
Yeah, career died basically, fell off bad, but he let himself go. He kind of got out of shape for a minute, but he was in great shape, or pretty good shape for AMW. In early TNA, he even flirted around with the main event scene some, like I said, but he just sometimes life imitates art. Real life imitates storyline. I think Jeff Jarrett one time when they tried to put Wildcat Chris Harris up against Jarrett for the 10 pounds of gold when Jarrett had it. He said Chris Harris is a fluke. He don't need to be anywhere around the main event picture. So, as they say, sometimes life imitates art.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to see Gail Kim here, early Gail Kim before she was the TNA Hall of Famer we all know her as today.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else to add before I jump into this next backstage segment with Sting?
Nope. And then that's one of our last backstage segments, isn't it? Or is it the last?
It looks like it's the second to last one. There's one more after this.
One more after okay. And then we're on to the last two matches and we're wrapping this show up. But so far, I've liked this review and everything. But go ahead with your next backstage interview and we'll start to wrap her up here soon.
Yeah, so Sting has Abyss's mask, which in the weeks leading up to this, he took it off of him. So Abyss is wearing a different mask in this match. I didn't really understand what he said. I don't know. He kind of has it on a little low.
Yeah.
And then he calls James Mitchell the devil. So yeah, which that's what he's trying to be, right? The devil. That's why he's wearing.
Yeah, he's Father James Mitchell. He always comes out in the satanic red kind of suit. Yeah, you know, he's got the eyebrows gimmicks. Yeah. So basically, TNA is playing on a similar to WCW here. I feel like they were going for extending the Sting Vampiro storyline, but Abyss had morphed into Vampiro.
Yeah,
that's my take on that.
Okay, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to eat a little bit of this food.
Oh, no, I don't mind at all. So that led up to the prison yard match next. Close to a 12-minute match. We saw Sting defeat Abyss. Basically, the rules of a prison yard match was basically anything goes. There's going to be this big cage, though, a prison-like cage that you have to lock your opponent in to get the win. And, some different spots happen here. I'm pretty sure that Abyss either choke slammed or slammed Sting through a table. But James Mitchell tried to get involved. He ate a scorpion deathlock here. Kind of excites the fans. And basically, this all ended up, they each put each other through a little bit of a slight little hardcore hell. You know, it was a good little match. And basically what had happened was Sting pretty much powerbombed Abyss through it wasn't just a table. It had like a barbed wire. It was like a barbed wire board on top of a table. And then he threw him in the cage and Sting won. Yeah. Solid match. Very solid match. Maybe I'm biased. Like I said, Sting is my favorite of all time. Right. I'm going to give this actually, for TNA at the time, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10, which is amazing for me. It's a good payoff. I mean, like I said, I might be a little biased. I felt like they told a great story. The James Mitchell interference needed to happen. Abyss and Sting rivalry. I always thought they had a good chemistry for TNA. Sting and Abyss, a little bit of money there. It could always be a main event or close to the main event scene. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Okay.
I'm also going to give it 9 out of 10. Again, another gimmick match. Apparently, we need Brother Love, I love you in this. Because it's all full of gimmicks, dude. I'm a huge Abyss fan. I like his hardcore stuff. Sting, obviously, I mean, he's the icon. I mean, come on now. You have to like Sting if you're a wrestling fan. There's no way you don't. James Mitchell, I thought, did well in this. I don't know much about him. I just know his gimmick. I know he's in AEW now. But I think he did really well for what he's supposed to do. So, 9 out of 10 for me. Yeah.
Great. And then we have one more segment before the main event, right?
It's just a little one.
Sure.
So Jeremy Borash, who has been doing all these except for the Eric Young thing, with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle says he's focused and go in the zone with all the perks. He doesn't say with the perks. So I just Angle,
son.
yeah, per Angle. Angle says he saw Joe at his best, which is why he spent 3 months fighting him, and now he's taking on obviously Christian Cage with Tomko at his side. So yeah, let's get into this one.
All right, so the main event of Against All Odds 2007 and the last match, of course, main event, last match, whatever. In close to a 20-minute contest, we see the NWA World's Champion Christian Cage with Tyson Tomko at first coming out with him. Mm-hmm. In the end, he would retain with some shady, some heel work in some controversial way. He would find a way to pull it out and not get DQ'd. We'll delve into that in just a second. But Christian Cage retains over Kurt Angle. But also on the outside of the ring, as an unofficial kind of enforcer in the match, we see Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is out there at ringside. So basically, before the match started, Tomko is ejected. And then we see Cage and Angle fight. We get a good amount of fighting, probably about a solid, 8 or 10 minutes, something like that. And then
something like that.
But then after that, really good match. Cage and Angle have good chemistry, and to me, and but then out back comes, even though he got ejected, here comes Tomko to attack Samoa Joe, and then basically what happens is the ref takes a bump at this point. It wouldn't be TNA without the ref taking a bump. TNA and Russo's booking, and for some reason, the ref always has to take a bump, it seems like, in a lot of these TNA main events, as you'll notice the trend if we cover any more TNA shows, which sure at some point we will. But the ref takes a bump. Steiner gets involved. He attacks Kurt Angle. Basically, when the ref's down and all this chaos is ensuing, and Tomko and Joe and Scott Steiner are out there, Kurt Angle pretty much gets beat up a little bit by Scott Steiner. Christian Cage ends up getting a lead pipe and hitting Kurt Angle with the lead pipe, and then disposing of it, or getting it out of the referee's line of sight at the very least, and then following it up with an unprettier, and the ref counts to 3. Bing, bang, boom. We still have Christian Cage on top as the NWA World Champion, on top in TNA.
Yeah. What is your rating for this? Before I jump in here.
What was that?
I said, what is your rating for this before I jump in?
Oh, my rating. I'm sorry. I'm actually going to give this a, you know what? Like I said, I'm a little biased towards Sting.
Yeah.
With all the interference and stuff, I'm going to give it I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give it a better than good, not quite amazing.
Yeah.
But kind of in between there. For its purposes, we finally got to see Christian Cage and Kurt Angle. So, yeah.
I'm going to give it a 5.
Okay. All right.
While I enjoy Christian Cage and I obviously like Kurt Angle, there was too much interference. Samoa Joe didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
He kind of got thrown into the chaos as well. Hey, you know what? There's a positive here though. Bob Backlund didn't come out, so that's the only positive I can think of.
Right. I mainly gave it an 8 though to explain my rating real fast before we finish up. Is because bringing Kurt Angle into TNA and Christian Cage, he did good. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I understand, Kurt Angle obviously is I think he just got kicked out of WWE before this, because this is pretty early in the year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is February. Yeah, he got kicked out of WWE. He didn't get kicked out of. WWE didn't re-sign him to a contract because of his his legitimate issues with prescription drugs and Percocets, obviously.
Right? Yeah.
And which I know we have that group we're in, kind of make fun of it, but
the Perk Angle Perk Post against fun group.
Yeah. But obviously at this time, Kurt Angle's life was really spiraling downwards, which I think is why his work wasn't as good.
Okay.
During this, because of all the drugs he was on and just his life just going down the drain pretty much, which really affected him, and it affected Jeff Hardy, a few years later after this.
Right.
So I mean, Kurt Angle wasn't as bad. Speaking of Sting, but yeah, it's really kind of sad to see how far Kurt Angle has fallen. I mean, his work just isn't it's just not as good as it was before, 2006 really.
The wrestling machine in ECW was great. Him and Orton, I like their rivalry. Back then,
before his addiction really got the best of him.
Yeah.
Which right now during his TNA run, it was really affecting him hard.
Yeah.
So 5 out of 10 for me. What do you say? 7 out of 10 for you?
Yeah, actually, change it to good instead of 8. I think 8's a little generous. So I'm gonna back mine down actually to a 7.
A 7. Yeah.
With actually the prison yard being my best match on the card. But overall, I thought this show, if I could give my last little send-off here message before we wrap this up, I thought this show was you want me to rank it on a 10 scale too, all in all?
You can. I usually do letter grades, but you can do whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll do a letter grade for the show. I'm going to give this show a solid – I'm going to give it a I don't want to say C+, because C+ might be degrading it too bad. I'm going to give it a B- because it would be close to a B+, but it drops 2 points of a letter grade down to the B and B- simply because of the Christy Hemme stuff and a lot of gimmick stuff. I enjoyed the prison yard match and the baseball.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah,
and the chain match. I enjoyed those 3 gimmick matches. But everything else is kind of like, didn't need the tuxedo match. The little Italy, you could have done a regular tag match with Team 3D and LAX, and it would have been fine. But I digress. I give it a B-. Overall, I enjoyed this show. It's not one of TNA's worst shows.
No, but it's not one of their best either.
Yeah, it's not a premiere. That's why I'm giving it a B-.
Yeah. I actually was saying the same thing. I'm also going to go with a B-. Because again, it's not one of their worst shows, but it's also not one of their best. I like the chain match. I like the prison yard match. But 5 gimmick matches? That's way too much. That's way too much.
Literally half the card, counting
the card. Yeah, that's awful.
But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on TNA Against All Odds 2007.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else to add?
I hope it gets better from here. I hope it gets better from here. That's all I have to say.
I think it will. You and I can discuss more like what we each specifically want to do when we do these, or what we're kind of looking for. But I just kind of write down the results of the match, the times. Yeah. That was kind of my thing. Talent involved, the main stuff that happened, at least to me. But again, my name's Jay Phil, Justin Phillips. I would like to thank everybody for listening. We hope to give you more. We're going to give the fans some. I don't know how you feel about this, but I like the poll idea and let the fans pick what they want us to review, and hopefully this picks up some steam.
Yeah. Do you want to throw out your socials real quick? Your Instagram, at least.
Oh yeah, my Instagram is j.d_Phillips. That's my new Insta. I had to make a new Insta, and you can find me on Facebook there too. Twitter right now, I need to make a new personal Twitter because I had to factory reset my phone here lately. But reach out to me on Instagram for sure. j.d_Phillips.
Jared Weathers YT on Instagram for me.
Mm-hmm.
I use Instagram the most, so if anyone wants to follow me, that's where you follow me at. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. I'd like to thank everyone for the support. I'm really excited for this new show. This was really fun, and I'm very excited. I'm really excited that we're on iHeartRadio as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you everybody for listening. Reviewing all comers, Jared Weathers, Justin Phillips. Have a good day, everybody. This was fun. This was really fun.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you all.